Hello humanoids, welcome to Halfling Hobbies. I'm Halfling Hannah, and if you have considered doing some home brewing, well, this video is for you. We're going to talk about the levels of homebrew, where you should start, and some resources to help you out along the way. Here we go. Alright, before we dive into this, please make sure that you like and subscribe to Halfling Hobbies. It super helps me out, and I would love for you to be a part of our community. I would love it if you dropped your favorite homebrew rules, stories, and anything else homebrewish down in the comments below. Alright, so let's talk about the levels of homebrewing. The very first level that everyone does, but you probably don't consider it homebrewing, is house rules. If you have created a house rule for anything, well, that's homebrewing. You have created something and added something into the system that wasn't there before. Some house rules that I have is players cannot play evil PCs. If you want to know why, I've got a video for that. I also have a house rule that when rolling health, like when you level up, if you roll a 1, you re-roll it, because let's be honest, that's just annoying and lame. So the house rule is when you're leveling up, if you roll a 1, you roll again. Anything like that is a low level, level 1 homebrew. So if you are considering homebrewing for the first time and you have house rules, good news, you've already done it. So let's move up to the next level of homebrewing, which is homebrewing classes or races. So if you have a player who wants to do something specific and you start with a class and you tweak it just a little bit, kind of like I do with my gunslinger bard. It starts from the sword bard, and then I tweaked it a little bit to be able to allow for guns. In the same way that the class has flourishes, so does the gunslinger. This kind of tweaking of classes is still homebrewing. The foundations are already there, the bones are already there, you're just tweaking it to give it a little flavor or a little bit of personalization. This is homebrewing. Now, you need to be careful when you're completely creating your own class, and we might talk about that later, but there are some checks and balances that come into place. There shouldn't only be benefits to a class, there should also be some drawbacks. So be careful when you are homebrewing classes. Races is another one. If a player wants to play a race that you don't already have stats for and you create those, that is homebrewing. I've got a video that's going to be coming out soon about homebrewing werebeast classes and how exactly we did that to balance some things out with the lycanthropic curse. Lycanthropy. Why can't I say that? Lycanthropy curse. Next level, we have what I like to call their world, their story, your side quest. So you have a pre-written adventure that you are going through. It's in a pre-written world, there is a pre-written story and plot that you're following, but you sprinkle in some of your own side quests, NPCs, and fun things along the way. This is still homebrewing. This requires a little more thought and a little more planning, but if you have been doing this, then you're a homebrewer. Stepping up from there, we have their world, your story. This is where things start to get a little complicated on your part, because you have a world to work on, like Eberron. Ugh, I love Eberron. So you have Eberron. You have the politics of the times, you have like the morning major events, things like that. You have the landscapes, the cities, that's already done for you. And then you are putting your own story into that world. It's your plot, it's your villain, it's your idea. Now there's a lot to consider and think about when you do this kind of homebrewing, but it's not nearly as bad as creating an entire world. So if you would like to take a step up and try homebrewing, I suggest that you do it in a pre-written world, because this allows you lots of things to draw off of. History, characters, cities, all of that stuff. It gives you a whole bunch of ideas that you can do for your story, and it takes a lot of the pressure off of you for having to create, you know, like lore, a political system, countries, cities, all that mundane stuff that honestly I don't like. I don't like it. It's hard and tedious. Some people absolutely love it, and if you're that DM, comment down below, and kudos to you, virtual fisty bump. But this is the kind of homebrewing that I do. This is the campaigns that I run. I use Eberron or some other system. Right now it's Eberron because I'm obsessed. I use that system and I put my own story into it. This is an easy way to homebrew that I highly recommend. The final level, the God tier level, if you will, is your world, your story. And this can be very difficult to do because you have to come up with an entirely new world. You have to come up with all the lore, all the history, all the stuff, even the map of the world you have to come up with. And that can be really daunting and difficult. At least it used to be. I have partnered with a Kickstarter project called The Wanderer's Guide, where we have made basically a homebrewing atlas. We've created a world for you and put amazing art into it, but it's free from any lore and any history, and you can write your story in it. So now you can get to this God tier level without having to build the actual world itself. Now you still have to name the cities and do the political structure and do all of that stuff that you normally would in this homebrew tier, but at least now you have art to go with it. We've even given you some NPCs to get your mind going, and I have an ebook that is 25 NPCs for any RPG that will also give you some awesome ideas for plots, side quests, or just some NPCs to have around. I'll leave links to both of those in the description down below. They can be super helpful for homebrewing. So I hope this helps, and I hope this makes you more comfortable trying out homebrewing, especially if you're doing it for the very first time. And as always, may your game have advantage. Halfling Hannah here, signing out.